Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been rated the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys from down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys up in Canada. You know we love you, Canada, so much. I'm going to sing your national anthem at least the first 5 seconds. Whoa, Canada, our home and native land. Now, I don't care what anybody says about that, Big C. That's the great opening start, at least the first 5 seconds of the Canadian national anthem. But there's still no one I love more than all you good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. Big C. Is a beautiful day today. It's actually August the 14th. 2017 in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. But you know, a lot of things happen in our country. I know Big C Sports is heard around the world, and we have our own network now, the Big C Sports Network. But I do want to tell you, in the United States of America, the land of the free, in the home of the brave, freedom comes with a cost. And obviously some of the things that have happened in Virginia, there's a lot of people who are concerned about the United States of America. Are we going back to the past? And we have a president who started the birther movement, saying that President Barack Obama was not a legit American, which was a shameful thing on Donald Trump, but he did it anyway, and it tapped into the psyche of some pain that this country's had through the days of racism caused by Jim Crow and also slavery. And Donald Trump touched into that vein. But you got to also understand this neo-Nazi movement came from Germany, and we thought it was defeated at World War II. When Germany was defeated and Adolf Hitler was defeated. But that neo-Nazi is still part of the American fabric. How did it get there? And like we always say, I believe that sports will galvanize our country together more than politics and more than religion. But we got to be honest about something. When you have a president of the United States saying that a current president is not a legitimate president and he wins the White House anyway, and in helping him win the White House with Steve Bannon and some of his friends, I just want anyone to Google Steve Bannon. Google him and his association with Breitbart, that right-wing group that he's been part of, and what's going on now with this neo-Nazi movement. And no one wants to talk about it. It's almost like something that people are ashamed to admit that they know is still there. But I think Donald Trump has to get the credit for that as well as some of the blame for it. And if you keep in mind, this is the same president that when we had the tragedy in Virginia, it took him 3 days to come out and denounce the Ku Klux Klan and the neo-Nazis, that far conservative ring of, they're really not Americans, but they are Americans. You know, they stand for the flag and people support them. They were allowed to march in Virginia with hundreds of people marching. I guess they had some type of fire stick and they were proudly walking around marching. And no one shouted them down, and they were able to do it anyway. And now we see what happened. Unfortunately, someone lost their life, and we have a young woman who actually lost her life based on what happened in Virginia. But all of this started with the birther movement, and I would hope as we get Big C on the line, he's going to make sure his microphone's turned up all the way. I hope that America can realize that Donald Trump might be president, but you got to ask yourself, even around the world, is this the president that makes America proud to say, I'm proud to be an American? Big C, your thoughts on the tragedy that happened in Virginia?
Jonathan, this tragedy is a total travesty as far as America goes right now. This is a landscape of a presidential candidate who stated this is how we wanted America to be, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Which is totally tragic. He talked about we want to take America back. We want to go back to where we were, where we could rough people up. And that's what occurred in Charlotte, Jonathan. You think about all the hate and rhetoric that was given to Colin Kaepernick for taking a stance against us a year ago. And today, this is the first anniversary of the Colin Kaepernick kneeling.
Oh, really?
A year ago.
Yeah.
And so when we look at what occurred over this weekend, as far as in Charlottesville, Virginia, Robert E. What did Robert E. Lee stand for? The Confederates, racism, slavery in America, and people are saying that this is okay. When I saw all the hats around from the Donald Trump campaign, Make America Great Again, all those red and white hats.
Yeah.
That he had during his campaign, and you see it all in his rallies, Jonathan. This is what he advocates.
Yeah.
And the most appalling part, Jonathan, we have a president would not come out and denounce the neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of wounds that are open in America from World War II, Charlton.
Yeah.
When America went and fought the Nazis.
Yeah.
And what they did to the Jewish people of the world, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Nazis, these are the people, the alt-right group. The President of the United States have not denounced them as domestic terrorists, Charlton, here in America. America lost thousands and thousands of countless lives, Charlton, unnecessarily because of the Nazi race, Charlton.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about these were whites. The Nazis are white, Charlton.
Yeah.
They believe in white supremacy. White Americans, black Americans, Japanese Americans, all cultures of America, Charlton, lost their lives to the Nazis. And it took the president someone to write him a speech.
Yeah, 3 days later.
After the event, he couldn't even speak from his heart.
Yeah.
Because his heart could not denounce these people.
Yeah.
He say that each side is the cause of racism and bigotry in America. No, it's not, Charlton. This was caused by the neo-Nazis. The same people that Steve Bannon represent.
Yeah.
This guy who, talks to the president.
His right-hand man. Yeah.
And gives him advice. Steve Bannon was the head of a neo-Nazi group. This is why the president did not denounce the neo-Nazis. And he should have just denounced them only in his speech. Don't say it comes from all sides.
Yeah.
Say exactly where it comes from. You're going to tell me that Hitler came from all sides and
nope.
World War II? No, Charlton. He led the neo-Nazis. That's who he led against everyone else. And the president is still a backer. He came in and denounced the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
They had nothing to do with Charlton. These are the neo-Nazis. Okay?
Yeah.
The Ku Klux Klan is minimal. The neo-Nazis organized all this. The alt-right group.
Yeah.
And the president could not denounce them, but yet you want to denounce an athlete. You want to let owners, if you sign this athlete, you're going to get an angry tweet from me.
Yeah.
But yet we won't go tell the nation that the neo-Nazis are racist and they have no place in America. You spend more time trying to block people from the Middle East from coming into this country, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the true terrorists in this country are the neo-Nazis whites.
Well, Big C, that's a very strong point. Today's segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So obviously Trump, and obviously, our thoughts go out to the families of the young lady that lost her life and the two law enforcement officers that were in a helicopter trying to survey the scene and see what happened there. And,
these law enforcement officials lost their lives unnecessarily because of neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
They were a direct link, Charlton, to what happened. And what we have now, Charlton, you think about this, is we have social media.
Yeah.
Social media is so huge and rampant. I think everybody with a cell phone who took video of this incident, they need to go out and post and identify people that recognize.
I agree.
People out to the forefront of America. Show the racists, whether they're in a university, whether they're in a corporate job, Charlton, whether they're working at a convenience store.
Yeah.
Okay? They need to be spotted out. They can no longer hide with their ears and go behind a mask.
And obviously,
cell phone, Charlton.
Yeah.
Make these people noted in society. Put the police and the FBI on their trail for what they are and what they do.
And ironically, Jeff Sessions, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, he had that same type of segregation mentality back in the day, and now he's going to say we're going to try to bring justice. Donald Trump, obviously, people got to remember. Sometimes you got to Google what people are, and he had one of the largest housing discrimination lawsuits brought against him by discriminating against renting to African Americans. Okay, just Google that. You can Google Bannon and all of his Breitbart relationships, and don't take anyone's word for it. Find out for yourself. Also, I just want to say our country will be made stronger because we tell the truth, even if it's painful. We got to denounce the KKK, the neo-Nazis, this anti-black, anti-Semitism, hate groups. And if you understand who they are, you think about it. Hitler killed over 6,000 Jews because the world turned its back. And that same type of hatred was started by Trump when he started that birther movement against President Obama. And now we have more hate groups in the United States of America, and people won't give Colin Kaepernick a job because he didn't stand up for the flag. I tell you, these neo-Nazis stand up for the flag, but is that the kind of America we want? So no matter what's happening, who you believe in, we just say Google it. I mean, I hope our country succeeds. But we can't have people who are divisive and saying beat the hell out of people, rough them up when you arrest them, and then come on TV with less than a week later and saying, well, we want to make sure that violence is not acceptable in the United States of America. So, Big C, we know a lot of people are hurting over that, but we know the truth shall set you free when it comes to that. But I do want to touch a little bit on the world of sports, even if you can. You know, in the world of golf, Spieth was going for the Grand Slam, didn't get it done. We had a man by the name of Justin Thomas he took first on the PGA at Quail Hollow. He's the number 6 ranked golfer in the world. No one knew who he was coming in this tournament. But even with that said, that all took a backdrop to what happened in Virginia. I know a lot of people are just dumb enough, all they can understand is the sports. But Big C, the golf kind of took a back seat to me, Big C. Your thoughts? Yeah. Yeah.
There's no VJ City and Lee Trevino, any of these great golfers of the past, Charlton, they're not out there. We don't even know who Justin Thomas is, even though he shot record rounds.
Yeah.
That was all Hall of Event, Charlton. He shot a 59, he shot a 63. Just, tremendous golf.
Yeah. I tell you what, Big C.
And when we look at I'm in sports right now, Charlton, and sports really is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I know we talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about politics.
Yeah.
But we're right now in a country of total division, Charlton, that, this is something that's been going on for a long time. And even on other sports shows, they're starting to recognize it now, Charlton. What is the importance of society?
Yeah.
Society is about the galvanizing of bringing America together.
Yeah.
So think about it if something like this happens at one of our sporting events, where we have the alt-right show up. And Charlton, like I said, I'm so appalled at our president right now for his cowardly speech.
Oh, yeah.
To come out and say that, this comes from both sides. No, it doesn't.
No.
It comes from what he has created. And like I said, I can't get off the Kaepernick thing because he went out and lambasted Kaepernick, threatened owners in the NFL, but if you sign this guy, you're going to get a nasty tweet from me.
Yeah.
Justin, he didn't put out a nasty tweet from this white guy going out killing and running down people in the street of Virginia.
Yeah.
Now, I think about the Long brothers who came out and spoke.
Really, very proud of them.
I'm proud of them, but I'm also thinking that they were protecting their dad, okay?
Yeah.
Their dad works on broadcast for Fox Sports. Now, we know that Fox is the number one backer of the president, okay?
Yeah.
Think about that. So Howie is the native of Virginia, all right?
Yeah.
His boys were born there. But Howie has not come out and spoke, okay?
No.
Because Howie is representing Fox Sports Network, which is owned by Fox Media Group.
Yeah.
Which has been the number one backer of the president and everything he has done and said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his sons have come out and spoke, but Howie has maintained silence. Now, who is the voice on television of the Long family? That's
Yeah.
Howie Long.
That's the father, yeah.
He has a sports fiduciary duty, Charlton, to come out and represent the sports world. Former athlete in the NFL.
Yeah.
Broadcasted in the NFL for a couple decades now, Charlton. But he has been silent on this issue. When we talk about representing the sports, too much is put on the players' back, Charlton, about, okay, players got to represent, they got to come with society, they got to come out, and it's like with the Mayweather-McGregor, okay?
Yeah.
We had so much racial epithets and slangs thrown in this fight, Charlton. Is this about a split, or is this about the racial divide in America? And that's what has excited people, not the fight. It's the racial divide that this fight has brought.
I agree.
And this is what we had in Charlotte this weekend, Charlton. We can talk about all the great attributes of sports. We can talk about Juan Carlos Stanton. He hit his 42nd home run last night, Charlton,
Yeah.
on a pace to hit 59. Just surpassing Aaron Judge, who everybody thought would just kill everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a great feat for Stanton. We can talk about Jeter and his group, particularly buying the Marlins.
Yeah.
But what is the problem with America? I know we had Marshawn Lynch and Bennett sitting over the weekend
Yeah.
to commemorate the anniversary of Colin Kaepernick, and they're going to keep their job, Jonathan. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to come say they got to be cut.
Yeah.
The president's not going to say anything to these guys.
No.
I'm waiting on the next racist move by the president because he is telling America at his base that this is what we stand for. We stand for this crap from these neo-Nazis, the local terrorists.
Yeah.
The terrorists, Jonathan, that's what the
Yeah.
It was not.
Yeah.
This was radical white terrorists. But he won't denounce them as that, Charlton. The president will never say this was an act of white terrorism in America.
And you know, it's funny, Big C. I mean, not funny, but ironic is that it happened on President Trump's watch. It's like the chicken's coming home to roost, because he's the one who started this stuff with all the birther movement. And I do want to say, for people who think, well, it's just one event, let's focus on the scores. You know, the ironic thing we talked about, and we've been talking about this for over 2 years, Big C, this new movement of this hate movement that's going on in our country, they're not recruiting black kids. You know, the criminal justice system, we know they recruit black kids. They're the most targeted in the criminal justice system. But this neo-Nazi, this right wing, they're going after white suburban kids and kids who feel like they're disenfranchised. And like the David Dukes of the world, they came out and applauded our president. And while people are playing sports, okay, it's okay until it happens to your kid or someplace in your city. They've had pro all over the country. They had some in Sacramento. They had some up in Seattle and all over the country. But Big C, I think, like I said, sports will bring our society together. But for the Caucasian broadcasters out there, and you know who you are, I think Big C Sports is bold. Nobody's as bold as we are, and we understand that, Big C. But for all the people who sit back and they say nothing, at some point in time, it's going to take the intelligent people to put an end to this garbage. You got to call people out, whether it's President Trump. If you believe in what President Trump is doing, then, you know, when it happens to your family, you can't say that you did not support it. I mean, it's always bad on any side when someone's hateful, but we got to find a way to make sure that all of our broadcasters who care about the sports business, you know, we have football started up pretty soon. There's so much security coming around the football stadiums now, all because of this garbage. And like you mentioned, where there's Howie Long, his kids came out and said it. Well, I'm surprised that Howie didn't come out and say something. He let his kids come out and take a stand when he surely could have come out and said something first. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, like I said, I'm not surprised that Howie didn't. Howie works for Fox. Fox is an advocate for everything that the president says and does. He's more concerned about his paycheck than what he is concerned about society and societal rights in America as far as equality. You think about presidents who we've had that in times of domestic terrorism, Charlton,
yeah,
that have stood up for America. We had President Bush, who after 9/11 went on national television and denounced the heinous act against America.
Yeah.
You think about the shooting, you know, in South Carolina.
Yeah.
When President Obama came on and denounced this act of violence and terrorism within America.
Yeah.
We had President, and they did this instantly, Charlton. They didn't wait 3 days.
They didn't wait 3 days.
To come on television.
No.
And they didn't go after multiple Charlton. They went after the individual who had done this. Okay, this is what President Bush and President Obama had done, Charlton, and what we've seen in our lifetime as Americans. We had Donald Trump, and it hurts me to even say President Trump. I got to call him Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't react as a president would.
No.
He doesn't represent all the people of America. He represents the groups that he wants.
Yeah.
So that's not an American president, Charlton. That's a social president. Okay?
Yeah.
Donald Trump, when he came on television initially, he would not denounce the alt-right. And yet the police chief could come on and denounce the alt-right.
Yeah.
The police, the governor could come on and denounce them. The mayor could come on and denounce them. But the president of the United States, Donald Trump, could not come on and denounce the alt-right. He said it came from all sides. Yes, Charlton, there were multiple involvements, but the president would not denounce the instigators and the people that led to the violence and death and carnage in Virginia. You had innocent people run down in the streets. Think about it, Charlton. You run down a dog and everybody chases you down.
Yeah.
The president would have stood up for a dog, but he did not stand up for the rights of these American citizens that were law-abiding, walking down a street in a peaceful situation. They were not committing violence.
Yeah.
They were walking down and cornered in the street like an alley and ran down. They were ran down
Yeah.
by a white supremacist, Charlton, and the president would not denounce that as domestic terrorism.
No, he said nothing. In fact, there was an African American gentleman who's a head of a pharmaceutical company that stepped down because he was just disgusted in the behavior of the Trump administration, and Donald Trump came out on Twitter and blasted him immediately for stepping down because he did not want to be associated with all the garbage that's going on in the White House. And obviously there are people who are going to defend Donald Trump until it happens to their kid, until it happens where their kids are recruited by these neo-Nazi groups. And then they're going to say, well, we don't know what happened to our son or daughter. They've never done that before. But there are people coming after that, and they're going to find out the hard way, Big C. Your thoughts?
This is an African-American gentleman that's the head of a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
Who thought he could help make a change within this administration.
Yeah.
And we saw this administration not denouncing domestic terrorism and racism. And he could no longer stand behind the president because he didn't want to be labeled as that in the African-American and business community, Charles.
Yeah.
So he stepped down and resigned immediately for the president's, staff.
Well, Ben Carson's trying to stand in his place, though, Big C. Ben Carson has no spine and no consciousness at all. It's just a shame.
The president attacked this man for having a social consciousness.
Yeah.
The president is saying to be in my cabinet in any capacity, you can't have a social consciousness. You can't walk away, even though I won't denounce racism, you can't have a social consciousness as a black or white man, Charles.
Yeah.
You have to be my puppet to make me look good.
Well,
This man stepped down because his social, historical, and family consciousness, Charles.
Yeah.
And professionalism.
Yeah.
Say, this is wrong to represent America in this way, and I can't be a part of it. And the president attacks this man on Twitter for being a conscientious American citizen. This is what a president is. He wants puppets, Charles.
Yeah.
He doesn't want conscientious thinking people. He wants people to sit around him in the cabinet meeting and praise him for the great job that he's doing, even though he stands no legislation as president, Charles, that's going to help our system.
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. I want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every sporting event, you need athletics and event insurance. We go through Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century, and they work with Big C Sports. And I'm going to also let you know if you have any questions or needs for athletic insurance for professional teams, collegiate teams, your high school teams, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, tweet out to them, reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. I got to bring this point up too, because as an American, and I love the sports business, and I know people are getting ready for sports almost on a daily basis, where there's NFL, NBA, there's always news going on. College football is about to kick off. But something that really, in the golf tournament that happened over the weekend, I don't know how people can have a heart when we just had a national act of terrorism in our own country. And the fact that no one wants to call it that from the White House is also disheartening, because a woman lost her lives as well as 2 law enforcement officers, and you have the lead, supposedly the lead moral authority. We can't say a moral authority anymore for grabbing women by the crotch and not even backtracking on that. But we have no one to stand up. We can't count on Sessions. We can't count on Pence. We know we can't count on Trump. The Republican Party is falling apart and is being led by just a handful of people. It's a shame that we don't have someone that could take charge, that people respect it, like a John McCain. I know he's having some health issues, but for all my fellow Republican friends, it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, you're still American. Your party's being destroyed from within by one or 2 people. You sit back and applaud the guy. It doesn't make any sense, Big C. Your thoughts?
The whole country is being divided because of this individual. This individual came in with racist rhetoric throughout his campaign. He talked about certain groups, Charlton. And you think about this. Hillary Clinton's not president, is she?
No.
Okay, but why is he still attacking her instead of attacking issues?
Or Putin?
This weekend,
Yeah.
he has spent more time attacking Hillary Clinton than any issue in America. You think about the Republicans, Charlton, and Fox News that Howie Long works for.
Yeah.
They spent 4 years, actually 7 years, riding on the Benghazi coattail.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
Riding on Benghazi, a single incident that occurred in the Middle East. Unfortunately, 4 Americans lost their lives. But they act like that's the only 4 Americans lost their lives in the Middle East.
Yeah.
In Benghazi or any place in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Yeah.
We've had thousands of soldiers lose their lives, but Fox focused on this one incident because they said they could tie the Secretary of State to it, okay?
Yeah.
Fox News, they're not going to ride this white supremacy act.
No.
Okay?
Rush Limbaugh won't do it. Sean Hannity won't do it, because at the end of the day, Big C, they really do feel they have something in common with them. They're just afraid to say it publicly. If they didn't have something in common with them, they would denounce them all the time. They wouldn't wait for Donald Trump. You know Trump's not going to do it unless someone writes it on a teleprompter. No Rush Limbaugh, no Sean Hannity. We know what happened with Bill O'Reilly for the sexual assault that he committed over 17 times. But the Republican wing of this country, at some point in time, we got to be American. No matter what background, what division, what group you're with, But none of these so-called, quote-unquote, Republican leaders denounce this garbage because they all tacitly consent to it, and they're ashamed to say something because they don't want to be kicked out of that good old boy network. Basically, your thoughts?
Like I said, I want to see how long they run with this. You know, we've had 3 Americans lose their lives in an act of domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
Domestic terrorism. How long will Fox News talk about these 3 Americans and 2 law enforcement people talking? We talked about Ambassador Stevens. We had 2 law enforcement talking, one a 10-year veteran, one a 5-year veteran.
Yeah.
Lose their lives because of this alt-right movement. This domestic terrorism costs them their lives.
And our thoughts go out to their families as well, too, Big C.
They may not have crashed the helicopter, but they were directly the reason for that helicopter going down.
Yeah.
If they had not created this event, all right, those officers would not have been up there in that helicopter.
Yeah.
So this domestic terrorism has cost 3 Americans their lives. How much will Fox News ride on this, Charlton? This domestic terrorism, these Americans losing their lives, 2 law enforcement officers that were just as important as Ambassador Stevens was 7 years ago in Benghazi, Charlton. They put their lives on the line every day.
Yeah.
This alt-right movement costing their lives, as well as the young paralegal that they cost her life, Charlton. I want to see Fox News lambaste this for more than what they did.
Well, we know they're not. We know they're not, Big C. I just think, and obviously for people who just care about sports, maybe you don't have a conscience. You want to know who won the game last night? Google it. But for people who want to make our lives better, and we're always going to use sports as a platform with politics to do that, I look at our president that started the birther garbage, that talked about the anti-Muslim ban in the United States and how he said Mexicans were rapists and murderers, all that negative propaganda.
Even at the alt-right, Charlton,
Yeah.
even at the alt-right, the Ku Klux Klan,
Yeah.
which he has never denounced fully. He has spent more time on 7 Middle Eastern countries, Charlton,
Yeah.
than he has against the alt-right and the Ku Klux Klan. He may have said David Duke, he won't accept his backing
Yeah.
in public during his candidacy, but David Duke has most likely been to the White House through a back door.
Yeah.
We know that he's just like David Duke because he ran the neo-Nazi program here in America.
Yeah.
He's an advisor to the president. You think about this, all Americans, all you sports fans, everybody else. We have a neo-Nazi leader who is advisor to the president.
And just Google it. Google it.
Steve Bannon was a neo-Nazi leader, and he is a special advisor to the president of the United States, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump will never denounce the alt-right movement in America. He will never come out, make a speech directly at the alt-right movement. He will come out and say radical Islamic terrorists.
Yeah.
He'll say that every day.
Yeah.
But he has the neo-Nazis in the White House. Think about that. Think about how many Americans lost their lives during World War II, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because of the Nazis. Okay?
Yeah. And the propaganda.
All these Americans, and there's still grandfathers, great-grandfathers. There's still people alive here in America, Charlton, the Tuskegee Airmen from World War II, okay?
Yeah.
Donald Trump does not denounce the Nazis. He will not do it publicly. And all of our thousands and thousands of Americans who lost their lives back in the 40s because of the Nazis.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was like, hey, it doesn't matter. That's
Yeah.
what he said. History doesn't matter in America. There's Americans who lost their lives to the Nazis.
Yeah.
And yet we praise them by having them in the White House every day.
And that's why people have to learn to Google. And if you're just a sycophant to sports and you don't know anything, then shame on you because they're probably coming after your kids next. I do want to say, Big C, that, again, we always talk about sports bringing people together, and I think it will. I do want to say I'm so proud of the young people. There was a concert here in Sacramento last night at Golden One Center, and there were so many people that were, I mean, I'm not saying good or bad hate speech, but there were a lot of people who were just showing their displeasure with our president and the hatred. And I want to say most of these young kids were Caucasian that were showing their displeasure with the president. So I want to make sure that everyone understands that no one group is a monolithic group labeled as good or bad or anything. But I'm so proud when the young white society, the ones that had the privilege growing up because of Jim Crow and discrimination, a lot of them, they want nothing to do with this neo-Nazi garbage. And they're so disappointed in the President Trump. And to hear them saying that, and they're not reading from a teleprompter, Big C, like Trump is, that gives me hope for the next generation, and that's why I'm disappointed in our broadcast brethren who are paid to talk to act like they're so dumb that they can only read the score of a game. Big C, we know back in the day there was a man by the name of Drew Bondini Brown. He was Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He had a slogan called Rumble, Young Man Rumble. And I do want to say Muhammad Ali founded the Ali Act in 1999. It was enacted in 2000. It was to protect the rights and the welfare of boxers. Big C, we need a boxing commission for boxers, but we also need someone who's going to protect the rights and the interests of the American people. And if we have a current president that won't do it, then we got to find a way to do it without him. Big C, your thoughts?
What I'm looking forward to right now is that I want to see Howie Long, who represents Fox Sports.
He won't do it.
Come out and back of his son. That's what I want to see. In the world of sports, Charlton, I want to see the broadcasters come out now. And if your kid can see it, why can't you see it? You've been a representative of the NFL for a long time. You were one of those who couldn't get on the Colin Kaepernick bandwagon. Are you going to get on the Marshawn Lynch bandwagon since you're a former Raider and now he's a Raider? Martellus Bennett, you're a former defensive lineman. He's a defensive lineman. You're two boys, a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman, Charlie. You grew up there in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
You lived in Charlottesville. You work for Fox. Will you back up what your son say as a sports and an American citizen, Charlton? Will you do that? Give yourself some spine. Don't let your boys stand out there alone, Charlton. They're sports figures. We cannot keep asking sports figures to be the spokesperson for America. We have to let the people with the microphone, Charlton, be that.
Well, Big C, that's very well said. For all the people who want to know more about what's going on, follow Big C Sports. We're on every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. We have our own sports network, the Big C Sports Network, and we bring it to you worldwide. We'll talk everything that's important to you, whether it's politics or sports, and we always want to tell you for every program, there's never, ever any room for domestic violence. If you know any woman in trouble, just call 911 because no one should have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we tell you on every Big C Sports show, Google it. Just Google something about the news, but we tell you, every time you listen to us, we want you to understand this. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.